Yes, and a good evening to you all. Welcome to my week in football. It has been a very eventful one. 7 days, like I said, 7 days in football is quite a bit of a time, and it's all good. Over the weekend, there was that football game that probably broke the internet. Watford against Liverpool. It had completely nothing to do with us, the Arsenal fans, but looks like we had the most interesting weekend because somehow we're like saying, Liverpool, win your cup. Really, we have no problem with Liverpool winning their trophy, but we had a problem with Liverpool going 49 or 50 unbeaten because, frankly speaking, it was a possibility. It was a very actually a big possibility. Actually, Liverpool could actually break the 49 unbeaten run of Arsenal. And of course, us Arsenal fans, looks like we were waiting for the day that was going to happen, which team was going to beat them, because of all the teams we expected to beat Liverpool, Watford was not one of them. So it was quite of a shock and a surprise. And of course, um, also very interesting. It was a very interesting game. So it actually made it made my week. It was it's such a nice game to watch, especially hoping to see that Liverpool lose a football game. I mean, the team was becoming exceptional. Okay, give it to them. Liverpool has looked good, apart from, of course, if you're a hater like me and most of my Arsenal friends. I mean, you are not going to come out and say, I mean, but footballing Liverpool has looked real good, real good. I mean, so threatening that it threatened our record as Arsenal, as the only, I mean, going the whole season unbeaten. It was a very big possibility, but somehow Watford got the best of them, and that did not happen. So it was very interesting because the whole of the internet actually was full of Arsenal fans. I mean, so we really had a nice time. So on the other side, today, of course, KCC, my football club, stumbled again. We lost. We drew actually. We didn't lose, but it's almost like a defeat, because if you're chasing the title and you're chasing Vipers and you fail to beat Proline in Lugogo at your home ground, although Proline also, that's the home ground, but I didn't think this season KCC was going to really win this championship, considering the ins and outs that KCC has done, and probably the consistency of Vipers in their recruitment showed to me from the beginning of the season. I think my prediction was that Vipers actually was going to win the title, although they stumbled a bit and fired their manager, and I think that probably got me thinking maybe the KCC might chase them, but KCC is stumbling every now and then, because on paper this should have looked a very easy game for KCC to win, but they didn't win it. So my week there goes. But yesterday, Arsenal Football Club was the first team into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Of course, 13-time record champions of the cup, and hopefully we can get a fair draw. But now all the big boys surely will be in the last 8, so there is no running away from it. We must play one of them, and if you're to win that title, you must beat one of them. So, of course, considering that one of Chelsea and Liverpool, one of them will get out of the cup this tonight. One of them is going to be ejected from this cup tonight. So at least one of them will be out of the way, and hopefully that we can. I think one would rather play Chelsea, not Liverpool, because Liverpool on Isidek would be a bad opponent to meet. So that's my week. But like I said yesterday, I was supposed to be on, but I was caught up, so I didn't manage to be online last night. So, but today I'm back, and I had promised to talk about Ugandan referee situation, the inside story. I mean, most people don't really understand what the gist of the story is. I've noticed that most people on Facebook and people who follow us on Facebook know very little about the sport. Most people don't go into the in-depth of the Ugandan sport to actually know, ask questions, know why things work the way they do. People just look at the cosmetic thing, football, and take it as it is. And that has been actually one of the biggest problems of people, on, especially on the social media. They don't understand what we're talking about. So most people think that people on social media come out just to rant, and probably that's what most times people are doing. But do people really understand what it is that we are talking about here? So yesterday, like Fufa came out, and I think Ahmed Hussein posted that delayed payment is not bad or something like that for the referees. But I will dive into this thing because I've been in football on the other side. I coached Ugandan football 21 years coaching, so I know what I'm talking about because I've dealt with referees in official capacity, individual capacity. I mean, they are my friends, so these things, no one can come and make a blank statement and say we have paid them, and then of course everybody is expected to believe what they have been fed on. If they feed it with you, then it is okay. I mean, that is the official. That is what is official. If they have said they've paid them, then it's official. Then we are supposed to take it like that. And so many times you have seen, especially the Federation President, going on air and telling lies that he has paid these people, and actually they have not been paid. Because we know them. I know them personally. It's not just about saying that we are just coming out to say things that we don't understand or we don't know. I know these referees personally. Why? Because I have been a coach and they have been refereeing me. So these are colleagues. So I am not speaking on something that I don't know. I know this, that some people have even retired from the game and forfeited their monies. I know this. I know people who have officiated for a whole year and not gotten paid. Well, others will say that, you see, deferred payment or late payment is not a problem, but it's a problem, and it has roots and causes to what is happening in Ugandan football today. Because if you ask yourself why everybody has been complaining about referees, you have to go back and say, okay, why are we complaining about these referees, and yet there's somebody who does not pay them? And yet some of this money is taken away from the sponsorships, and it's taken in bulk to pay these referees. Where are they not paid in time? Of course, now you ask yourself, Fufa even has other problems of payment. Fufa has had problems with paying people, because there's clubs like who go 4 years without receiving back their $10,000, and some of them actually even forfeit it. And most of them forfeit it because they are trying to buy favor, and that is the most absurd thing. They forfeit it because they're trying to buy favor, because they think that if you ask for it, then Fufa is going to say you are fighting against them. You know, like, I have been in clubs where the prize money is never paid, and to the extent that what happens, that you find a way of let's say cancelling out the debt, because you're not going to get paid. So if you're not going to get paid, what you do, you go to FIFA and say, okay, what is my registration? If my registration is this, let's cancel it out, because you're not going to get the money. So what you do is you try to negotiate on how to cancel. And Nicholas knows this. Nicholas Kiza, who works in finance. Personally, I've been here about 3 times with three different clubs, and I've been, because that's how we have done it. Maroons, payments, prize monies, and you don't get them, so you go and say, okay, registration, okay, can you offset that because you're not going to get the money. Nyamtura, same thing. Super, is it? I don't know if Onduparaka ever got their money for the Super 8 the time, because by the time I left, they had never gotten paid that money. But this one, I'm not going to say all these things, because if you come out and say them, then you are fighting them. You are fighting them. Oh, this is not a fora over. So, not to deviate, I'll go back to the refereeing issue. These referees actually do work at them with a lot of pain, because most of them go to places, like I have told people before, I have been to games, especially in the big league, where a referee is sent. Let's say one game I played in Kabale, and a referee was sent to Kabale from Kampala. But a referee, that particular referee, was not given any facilitation to come to Kabale, meaning that he had to use his personal money to come to Kabale to officiate a game in Kabale. Maroons, I think, was playing. I've even forgot the team, but that team, Horizon, I think it was Horizon or something like that, from Kabale. So, after one, where did he sleep? Now that was the question. Where did he sleep? What did he eat? And most of these referees are people who are small-time earners, because if he has a separate job and is doing refereeing as a part-time, probably now he's using his small monies from that whatever he's doing there, and then he's transferring it into refereeing. So he has to get a bus to Kabale, then probably get accommodation, then get food. You must get food to eat. Otherwise, if you don't get food to eat, then it becomes what? It also becomes a bit problematic. So then at the end of the game, the same referee has to find ways of coming home. And now cost cutting would be, if Maroons has a bus, then he's going to ask you, oh coach, can you please give me a lift to wherever he's going? So you are going to give a lift. Now I'm giving an example of this because now, in the event that unscrupulous people get in touch with such a person, what are the chances that the results that we get from these games will actually depict the actual performances of the teams on play? Because if I am unscrupulous and I know I'm going to give a lift to this man, or I know that he's coming, I'll look for where the hotel is, then I pay his hotel and all the things. Yeah? And I don't need even to tell the referee that, you know, Mr. Referee, I need to win this game. It will be a bit self-explanatory. If I give you accommodation, if I give you food, I mean, I am trying. I may not say that please give me this game, but the conscience of the. Okay. Well, I think I had a poor. There, I had a poor. What? Okay, I think I was having a disturbance in. Yeah, I was having disturbance with I think the network and the frequencies here. So, as I was saying that if you don't pay the referees and you don't pay them well, then you are calling for all the things to happen in the game, and you say you are delaying their payments. Yeah? Yeah? You're delaying their payments. If you're delaying their payments, that means, but you delay them for how long? If you delay them for 3 years, you can imagine somebody says that, okay, you pay me money after 3 years for services that I give you. Services like football services. Really, even if you pay me after 3 years, what are the damage that I would have done to the game in 3 years is unrepairable. Because if you pay me work for 3 years. I've officiated games. How many games does a referee do in 3 years? For you to pay him after 3 years, he has done probably, I don't know, in a year, I don't know how many games a referee will do. But if you don't pay him in 1 year, 2 years, then you pay 3 years. Because there was some referee I saw on on Facebook, and I know him. And he says that for him he retired, but 2 years later, then they have paid him 2 years later. I mean, he is actually indicting himself, because in those 2 years that you officiated these games, how were you facilitating yourself? How did you facilitate yourself? So that becomes the question. So if Fufa comes out and says that we have paid them, of course, which is a lie. And I don't know why people in Uganda can go and lie. Just look into people's faces. Of course, the moral decade has allowed us to actually behave the way we behave, because you go on national television and lie, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but you continuously tell a lie. Oh, I've paid them. Oh, I've paid them. Okay, yes, but you're not telling us the honest truth. Maybe you paid a person who is demanding for 5 years and you pay him 1 year. But of course, yes, you paid. The truth is that you have actually paid some money. But what have you done? Are you actually telling the real truth about it? Then this referee thing goes back. There are some things which people don't know about Ugandan referees. Ugandan referees, now, I told people sometimes that the FIFA referees, most of them forfeit their league monies. Now, of course, no FIFA referee is going to come on this forum to actually say that it's true, because if you actually come out and say it's true, then they will punish you. Then they will say, oh, that's not the forum you're supposed to be talking about these things about. But the monies of these referees are actually taken by somebody. Some people take this money because they are saying FIFA referees will not get their local monies, because for them they are getting international monies. So these international monies are the ones that push them to officiate. So they forfeit this money. But this money is theirs. Why are they forfeiting it? So the question is, do you get these FIFA badges because you are capable, or because somebody is pushing you? And this has been the biggest problem of Ugandan football, that most of the people who actually get into these positions are not the most capable people. Even in coaching, let's say coaching, even national team collapse, you've seen where people put question marks and all that. National team, who coaches the national team, who is assistant? Actually, not who coaches the national team, because Ugandans can't coach the national team. That one is now a given. Ugandans cannot coach the national teams of Uganda, so it is the assistants. So to be an assistant, you must bootlick somebody. You bootlick them, then they make you. So it's the same thing that happens in refereeing. So referees who are bootlickers are the ones who are most likely to get the FIFA badges. Now, the ones that actually do their work and do it diligently are never going to see the what. Now, those ones who are deemed not in good books with probably the powers that be will also be. Now, to the extent that down this side, people don't even know what happens down side. Now, in the lower leagues, like the regional leagues and the first division leagues, teams actually pay referees at the grounds. So most referees want to referee in this game. You find that a Premiership referee would prefer to officiate, because if you officiate in a regional league game, for example in Kampala, you get paid on the field of play. The teams bring their money and they give the referees, and the referees are actually paid. So you find that most referees want it. Now, here is the gist of the story. Now, Fufa gets to know about this. Now, even there, they try to make sure that if you are a person whom they say has Lugezi, then they will try to even cut you off there. They will threaten you to cut you off there. Because in other leagues internationally, if you perform badly in the top league, then they will send you to the lower leagues. But here they can't send you to the lower leagues, because in the lower leagues, again, you're going to get more facilitation than you get in the upper league. So it's not a punishment anymore. You see, that's the gist of the story. Now, these referees, like I said, most of them do not. The best ones, and I've seen them, because having coached 21 years, I know who are the best referees. They have all been refereeing us. So the best referees do not necessarily become top referees in Uganda. Now, the ones who become top referees in Uganda are the ones who bootlick these people. They bootlick them and what? And now those ones, even those ones who are there and they're top referees, will have a problem. Will definitely have a problem with because some of them are probably told to do nasty stuff, and others will not accept. Then there are those ones they make do nasty stuff. Like, for example, you find the famous Done. Done will do all the things that he has done for all his life, but he'll still be a top referee in Uganda. Yeah? And then, a year, I think last year, so one referee was reprimanded, or 5 years for I think, being recorded trying to take a bribe. But guess what? He's not the only one. He's not the only one, and this is the biggest thing that, like me, what I was saying, is that why don't they investigate the thing instead of saying we punish this guy? Investigate the whole story, because if it was recorded, now the coach who was recorded, did they ever investigate this coach? Because this coach was also involved. They should have investigated the same coach who was talking to the referee, because how many referees has he also encountered? Because in the event that the game probably had gone his way, would he have come out to talk about this? Probably not. Probably not. So we need to reevaluate this the referee thing. Sure, these referees are. I'm really getting very problems with my internet today. It's off and on, off and on, off and on. But just to what? So the payments for these referees are not paid. So you find that if a referee officiates for 3 years, they'll pay him 1 year. If he officiates for 12 months, they'll give you 2 months. And this is the problem of Fufa and its payment. Fufa actually has a problem with paying people. And maybe because they don't have money, or maybe just because they don't want to pay people. Because you go to the junior leagues, they tell that they will pay the coaches. By the time I left coaching, I think the junior, you see the junior coaches were supposed to be paid by Fufa according to them. Then when they pay once, then they talk about it. Oh, we have paid them, but you find they're paid once, and these coaches are not allowed to come out and talk. When you talk, they say, oh, this coach is a person who, a person who is fighting the federation. I don't know what fighting the federation actually means, and who these federation people are that are supposed to do bad things, and other people watch them, because junior league coaches are not paid. If you talk about non-payment, you talk about the junior league coaches. Now, yesterday I saw Toro FC team, the youth team, coming with bare chests. Now, those teams are supposed to be facilitated according to Fufa. They're supposed to be facilitated them with uniforms, but I don't know the last time they gave them uniforms. And secondly, that league is supposed to be facilitated by Fufa according to them. But if even the referees, the junior league referees, are not paid, the junior league coaches are not paid, the monies that are supposed to come to these clubs from what are not there. So the clubs are struggling even because the other day, Maroons, I think the Maroons and Onduparaka games did not even take place. I think Onduparaka didn't show up. And all this because of financial problems. Because you're putting financial burden on people who already don't have money even to run their senior sides. And why don't we have money? That one, I dealt with this another time, but people still don't understand. The reason why these teams don't have money is because the owners of these teams they are not serious. Because how do you invest in these teams that do not make money for you, but make money for the federation? Because the federation is the main beneficiary. The other day they were receiving generators. They receive 800 from FIFA. What they're receiving money on behalf, supposedly on behalf of what? But does this money, where does it trickle down to? Why don't they, for example, release this league? Fufa release the league, so that when this league is released to its owners, then the owners will have the right to pay the referees. The referees will be paid better and be treated better. But because Fufa wants control of what? Now they control these institutional teams. So the institutional teams go and jeopardize the league. So these individual teams, because we look at teams like Onduparaka will be suffering. You look at the Chetumes will be suffering. You look at Wakiso Giants. Because Wakiso Giants, you see the money that they spend. And you're like, okay, if Wakiso Giants spends, what is the payback? Because what kind of business are we doing? Seriously. So if these teams are not making money, then there is no way the referees are going to be paid. That means nobody in football is benefiting from the game itself. So when the FIFA says that they paid referees and the president was on TV telling a blatant lie, It's blatant. Of course, he lies every time. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate that he really tells the truth. Like, he tells the truth by default. Actually, when he tells the truth, it's by default. He rarely tells the truth. Most of the times he's lying. But you tell a lie that you paid the referees, and yet we live with the referees. We live with them. These are people we live with. We live with the referees, the officiators. I mean, they are friends. Because if I'm a coach 21 years, as a referee has been what? Many referees have been frustrated out of this game. Yeah? Because the referee, even getting upgraded, is also a problem in Uganda. Even if, however good you are. It's the same thing with the coaching good. Because the coaches in Uganda, it's not merit. And I want to put it there. No, the coaching in Uganda, it's not merititious. Like, you see how they pick and change national team coaches at these lower levels. It is dangling. They dangle the bone that, oh, the good ones, the ones who behave. Now, like, for us who misbehave, probably you don't have a chance. You don't have a chance of coaching national team. Well, that is okay. If you don't need, not everybody needs coaching the national team, but the ones who are picked are not on merit. They don't pick them on merit because they just pick them who is the most behaved at that particular moment, or who do they have they are settling a bond somewhere, a bond of contention. So to throw something to them, then they appoint you as a national team coach, so you keep quiet, so that people don't what when you keep quiet, so they throw you that. So same thing. So in all these football circles, the day we stop this bootlicking thing in football, in coaching, in refereeing, in management, then we are probably going to improve. Our game is most likely to improve. But if we continue the bootlicking thing, where a player to be called to the national, because to be called to the national team, you must, call the player for his ability. Don't call him for any other things that are surrounding what you think about him, what he said about you. Because now the national team, I think Salim Magola, I saw a statement from Fufa about about a minister. But that MP. That MP also was misbehaving. Yeah? What was he doing in the Cranes camp in the first place? What was his rationale? Yeah? You see. But now Fufa goes into it because these are the people whom they want to use to push their agendas. One of them even became a minister. I hope the minister now, as in his official capacity, Mr. Obua, can read through this, read the files that are in his office, because those files are there. Or the corruption all these people have done all the time, all the misdemeanors they have done, all these things are on their file. National Council of Sports, go to National Council of Sports if those files still exist, because there's somebody in National Council of Sports who was in a 21 goal debacle. He is in National Council of Sports, he keeps the file. I doubt if that file still exists. So this thing has to be solved at a certain kind of point. So this referee thing is very, very deep. So people who are out there saying about referees, it is very deep. You must understand Ugandan soccer terrain, where all our problems stem from. So if we cannot address the problem, then this referee thing is going to continue, because the non-payments are going to continue, because the referees are being held at ransom. All of them are being held at ransom. You can't talk, you can't demand, you can't do what? Anyone who demands, indisciplined. The same thing with the players. You demand, indisciplined. With the coaches, you're not supposed to say anything. Our coaches actually are supposed to be stupid people. In Ugandan football, the coaches are supposed to be stupid people, because we are supposed to keep quiet. You're not supposed to say anything. You're not supposed to express yourself. Even at a football match, when you get annoyed, then they reprimand you. You're not supposed to say, oh, you're killing the game. What? When you go for a coaching course, the first thing the head of coaching comes and says, oh, coaches are not supposed to be involved in politics. And yet you appoint, this man was elected. The person in charge of, who is representing us as coaches, was elected in an election. So you wonder, for him, how did he get elected? So the coaches should, if the coaches are not supposed to be involved in politics, then they should not be represented in the federation. But they represent us, and then you elect them. Then after that, they come and tell you, oh, you're not supposed to be involved in politics. The same thing with referees, are not supposed to be involved in politics. So who is supposed to be involved in politics of the federation? Where do the people who form the federation, where do they come from? They come from us. But now, once they get there, then they're not in the rest of people. So this is how they hold all the people at ransom. They hold people at ransom, and this is what happens when they hold people at ransom. The referees they don't get paid, and the referees begin to do their own stuff. Because if you don't pay them, they are going to find a way of getting paid. That is logic. It's not something that you're going to fight with. If you don't pay people, then the people are going to find a way of paying themselves. Simple. So how do they pay themselves? This is what they've been doing. Phone calls to the managers. Others are going to do unscrupulous stuff. I mean, so many things will happen. So many things are going to happen if you don't pay referees. Because they have to find a way of making ends meet, because they're human beings. Like for you guys at the federations, all of you are getting your salaries. Others, the CEO, I think, gets paid by FIFA. Then the president, I don't know who pays him. He pays himself from the FIFA grant and all those things. So everybody else at the federation is catered for, apart from the stakeholders. The stakeholders in football, the biggest ones, are the ones who don't have anything. And then they're the ones who are reprimanded on a daily basis of this. So the thing of referees, the problem is that the people who are supposed to look into the in-depth of these things, they don't. My friends in the Fourth Estate, the journalists, some of them have been beaten into submission, and they start appointing all of them. If you've seen all of them, and now the people who are supposed to be writing about the federation are now inside the federation, and they're doing PR jobs. And that is a very smart move by the federation, because all these journalists, all of them have ended up there, because Hamed Hussein is there. Then I see there's one who used to write in New Vision. I think he's also there. I saw him in the Fufa house. The Afrikaners are all of them there. All of them have become media attaches to all these things, and which is good for them. Personally, I have no grudge with them. But who are supposed to investigate these things, all the wrongdoings that have been happening? What the problems of referees? Where do they stem from? Who is not paying them? Why aren't they paying them? What is the problem? So nobody is willing to do that. And then you ask yourself, why is our game deteriorating? Then other people say, the referee officiated the game badly. So when he officiated the game badly, then they want to beat him. Then finally, two of Mr. Patanguli and Jalia were thrown out of football, I think, for I don't know how many years. Is it 3? And I forget the years they've been thrown out of the game. And this stems again back to the referees, because maybe before I get to there, Brian Gita is there anything you appreciate about the current state of football in Uganda? Yeah, that's a very good question. You see, Brian, this is where the gist of the matter is. We Ugandans have this problem that if anybody comes out to speak about a certain subject, then you don't appreciate anything about the football in Uganda. If I didn't appreciate anything about the football in Uganda, I would actually not speak about it, Mr. Brian. I would not speak about it. If I didn't love this game this much, I would not say anything about this game. I would keep quiet. Because, Mr. Brian, I lecture. I am a football coach. I am every other thing. So, I can say, okay, I leave football and I start watching Arsenal. When I comment about Arsenal, nobody says anything. That is how we think Ugandans. If I comment about Arsenal, everybody, yes, I like. If I am angry about Arsenal, everybody will say, I like, yes. But if you say anything about that come close to Ugandan football, then they say, oh, why are you talking about this game? You know what? That is the problem of Uganda. And that's why we shall not get better. Because we don't allow criticism. We don't allow criticism. Yeah? If there's anything good about Ugandan football, the only thing that is good about Ugandan football is our national team. Our national team. And because it is being facilitated by government funds. And the government funds facilitate 11 players. And I have told Mr. Brian Gita, I've told you about the thing so many times. It's good you've asked this question. The only thing about Ugandan football that is good is the national team. Tell me something else that is good about Ugandan football. Since you're commenting, you tell me one thing that is good about Ugandan football. Because I'm in Ugandan football. If coaches are not paid by their clubs because the clubs cannot afford to pay them, if referees are not being paid, if players are not being paid, then what is good about Ugandan football? The only thing that's good about Ugandan football is the national team. Because our national team will perform. Why? Because it's being facilitated, one, by foreign-based players who are being paid by their foreign-based clubs, then national team money that is being got from the president directly. So that is what's good about the national team. So tell me something else, Mr. Brian, out there. Please tell me what you think is good about Ugandan football, since you think that the rest of us don't appreciate it. So that's a very good question. So, Mr. Brian, please tell me one thing that you see. Because for me, what I'm telling you that anything that I appreciate is the national team. And that is the only thing that drives Fufa, the national team. And because the national team funds are coming from the government and private sponsors who are lynching on it because it brings people to the stadiums. The national team, somehow, since Mulindwa's time, it has gained popularity. But after that, which other team in Uganda draws that kind of attention? Mr. Brian out there, who is asking me this question. You tell me of a Ugandan football game that has 10,000 people. If you can tell me that, then there's something good about Ugandan football. Because when I'm talking about Ugandan football, I'm talking about the player, the coach, the referee, the team owner. That is Ugandan football. Because you as a fan, what do you enjoy in seeing teams that are not fairly competing? What used to make Ugandan football interesting in the earlier years was the strength of, for example, Sports Club Villa. And then the other teams that were competing with it in the 1990s, in the 90s and the late 80s. The KCCs, the Expresses winning in 96, KCC winning in 97. You know, like, that was the strength of football. But now, what is the strength of football? Where you see a top... What is supposed to be the biggest game in Uganda is supposed to be, I think... Express and Villa is supposedly the biggest game in Uganda. But how many people watch that game? As compared to our neighbors in Tanzania, where Yanga and Simba will sit 60,000. So, Mr. Brian, if you find out what that problem is, then you will know that the state of football in Uganda has decayed. The only thing that is sustaining us is the national team and players who are playing out of the country, who are being paid by other people out of the country. So, even not to deviate at all these things, if we cannot settle a few things that are happening in Ugandan football, all these loopholes and lacunas, then we are not going to get anywhere. And if people like Brian cannot appreciate that I am telling you something that I know factually, something that I've lived all my life, then there's a problem. Who is going to tell you? Because me, I know. I have been through these things. I have been to games where a referee is marking the football field for a home team where he's supposed to officiate. I don't know if you've ever seen such a thing. I have been at a game where I transport a referee from an upcountry place because he doesn't have transport. And it has happened to me. When I was when I played in Karamoja, I had to transport a referee. When I played in Arua, I had to transport the referee. When I played in Kabale, I had to transport a referee. Even in Masaka, I had to transport a referee. So if we are still transporting referees from games and we are teams that are participating in these games, then there's a problem. If you can't see a problem there, then... Then, okay, Brian is still saying, okay, I respect your opinions about Ugandan football. You are way too experienced about football. I asked that side to see the other side of the coin. Well, that is true. Me, my other side of the coin is that the only thing that is positive about Ugandan football is the national team. That is positive. But the rest are not. Our local clubs are they are descending. Our local clubs are descending, and the only ones that are struggling are the KCCA, who are still tied on monies that come from the actually KCC success. My club KCC, its success in the last 6 years is because of being bankrolled by what? By KCCA. If KCC was not being bankrolled by KCCA, there is no way that KCCA team would have reached where they've reached, because the kind of players they got in the last 6 or 7 years, they would not have gotten them, because it cost them a lot of money. The money that KCC has spent to assemble that team that has taken them to what is not money that KCC has made through footballing activities. Because you can't say that KCC got it through goat collections, KCC got it maybe through sponsorships. No, this money has been directly being thrown in by most of it, the biggest part of it, by the institution. So if clubs cannot make money, their own money, football money, then there's a problem. There's a very big problem there. Yeah? If the sponsorship for television is still at 50 million Ghana shillings a season, very big problem there. If you still have somebody telling lies that is sponsoring the youth league, and we all know that the clubs have to foot this thing, and the owners of these clubs are not saying anything. So my challenge is out there to these owners of these football clubs, because if you look at Vipers, the money that Vipers is spending to actually play Ugandan football, then they should have a say about what happens in the game. Yeah? The likes Onduparaka, how they have managed to build their brand in 10 years. They should be able to reap from this brand. But they cannot reap from this brand, all because the federation doesn't want. Because you see, the bigger these clubs get, then the federation fears that power is going to shift from them to the clubs. I one time, about I think late last year, I talked about the Villa thing, and most Villa people got very upset. And I told them, for as long as there is somebody at the federation manipulating that sports club Villa team and its management, there is no way you're going to be big again. And they did not understand me. Most people did not understand me. Because Villa's strength is the strength of our league, because it's one of the biggest. But they did not understand me. Most people think that I talked about Villa because maybe I hate Villa or I do what. No, I actually like Villa, because Villa's strength is the strength of the rest. If I have a small team in Ibanda and it qualifies for the Premier League, and I am going to play against Villa in a stronger setting, I know that is my payday. That is why we like a strong Villa. But Villa cannot be strong. Okay. Mr. Ogon, my friend, my favorite cartoonist, you asked me the question as your prediction at the start of the season was that my club Villa are going to be relegated. Do you still stand by this? Well, Villa just surprised me. Villa surprised me with what they have done, and I hope they can do that. But most importantly, they should get back to what Villa used to be, because this is a spark out of a pan. Because Villa this season might actually be good, and next season they will fight for relegation again. Because who is in management of Villa? And I like I said before, the fear of somebody at the federation is that a strong Villa actually is a problem to the federation, because a strong Villa would mean that the president cannot manipulate the league again, because the president has weakened all these football clubs in their management. And that is why you have people in management of these particular football clubs who are aligned, to the extent that one person was telling me that, we would have actually appointed you as our coach, but you're what with the federation, you see. So Villa has to make sure that their strength is back into to make decisions, because Villa should be advocating for this league to get back to the owners, who are the league, who are themselves. But you find a team like Villa is still fidgeting or fighting with sponsorships. a team like Villa cannot attract sponsors. Why? Because the league has been taken over by this person and made it his personal thing, his whims. He does this, he does that. He operates the league from that. Then you have people who are pretending to be in charge of the league at Nambole. They are seated in Nambole pretending to be in charge of the league, and yet the league is being run at the federation in Mengu. But they are pretending that UPL is seated in Nambole. What is UPL doing in Nambole? There's nothing they're doing in Nambole because they're not in charge of the league. They don't even know where the sponsorships come from. They cannot get more. They are so disenfranchised. Yeah? They're so disenfranchised. So for as long as all that is being done, for as long as these football club owners do not own this league, the referees will never get paid. That's one thing, because no money is going to come in. Because now, who makes the money? Who is supposed to make money for the league? It is the owners. The 16 teams should make money for themselves. Because if you talk about sponsorships, the president of the federation will come and say, oh no, I brought sponsorships for the league, Premier League. The big league has never gotten a sponsorship. And yet since I began, because I was a pioneer in the league in 2010, they told us, oh, the league is going to get a sponsor. In 2011, the league is going to get a sponsor. And then Brian, I think you don't know. My love for the Ugandan game is much more than you actually think. Because he says, I'm happy to know there's something you're passionate about the state of Ugandan football. I love this game more than most people think. Because if I didn't love it, I would not talk about it. You understand? That is the gist of the story. You cannot talk about something that you don't like. You don't have passion about. I have passion about Ugandan football. I want to see Ugandan football sitting 60,000. I want to see small clubs getting advantages of playing against Villa. That is very important. Like a small club gets a chance of playing Villa in Nambole and Villa sits 60,000. Or okay, it's a small team. Agreed, Villa sits 10,000. Or I host Villa in Ibanda and Villa can bring its fans. That is what we are looking for in football. And by the way, if the president, Engineer Magogo, got to know about this thing, to stick to his presidents and leave these clubs for us to do our business, would not be interested in who is the president of the federation. That is completely out. But because they are greedy of money, that is why they get involved. And that is why we ended up talking about him. Because he gets involved in the business that we are supposed to be doing. We, the football people. If Magogo said that he wants to be president, be president. Like, the question would be, who knows if I ask a general question on this on Facebook right now, and I asked you who is the president of the Premier League in England, probably you'd not tell me. If I asked you who is the FA chairman of England, probably you'd not tell me. But which is the most popular league in the world? It is the Premier League. But how come we don't know these people? Because the stakeholders are actually making business. Manchester United is buying players of £80 million. They are doing business. The Arsenals are buying £72 million. They are buying players. They are doing business. They are sitting 60,000, 80,000 per week. They are doing business. And they are not being interrupted by the FA. The FA makes rules, but the rules have to be favor the stakeholders. But for us, these people are actually making sure that this league does not favor the people who play in it. Because what is the advantage of, let's say, a league? If that's why most teams that, for example, drop out of the Premier League cannot survive 2 years in the big league. Most of them die and begin to sell the clubs. You have seen, like, for example, Toro FC this year itself has changed ownership 3 times. Can any business that is doing well do such a thing? Yeah? Toro has changed ownership. I think there are 3 owners this year. Everybody is struggling, but they're quietly. But if you come out to talk, then people will fear that you're going to be reprimanded. And do you know how Fufa reprimands people? By sending these dubious referees. And that's how people have been being reprimanded. They will say, oh, because like I said, one person told me, coach, we cannot give you a job in our team because, you have a problem with Fufa. So Fufa will will sort of interfere with their football matches if I'm the coach, so probably they will not win their matches. So I asked the owner, and I asked him that, so you don't play football, Fufa gives you a result. And of course, there he didn't understand what I was saying. But is that the fact? So when you talk about all these referees, somebody needs to talk to them quietly, individually, and you'll find out about all the things that I'm talking about. But if the owners of this league do not take charge of this league, the Villas are just there sitting there and saying, oh, we are doing well. Villa is now on the Villa. I can tell you that Villa is not going anywhere, because the current Villa that we are seeing is just struggling for result. They win a game here and win a game there. Villa is not dominant. Why? Because their management structure was broken down. It was interfered with. That is why they will not be dominant again. They will depend on the handouts of individuals who are benevolent to them, and say, oh, we'll give you something. Not monies that they're going to make. They're not going to sit 60,000 people like they used to do. It's going to take them a long time to do that. So the Expresses are also struggling, because Express is in the relegation dogfight. A team, Mukwano Gwabanji. I mean, Express, the minimum Express should be is top 3. That should be a minimum requirement of Express. But now it is fighting a dogfight down here on who is staying up and who is going down, because tomorrow they play Maroons in a relegation battle. Express is in a relegation battle, and this has happened in the last 5 years. Express has been experiencing these things. Why? Because also they've interfered with Express's management, and no one wants to talk about this. These two teams have been in demise because the federation has interfered with their management. Villa's people are different, and I tried to explain that in something that I wrote about almost like last year, and I wrote that the management of these football clubs is developed by who they are, because the Villa people are people who are from Nakasero Market, traders, businessmen. Those were the people that were in Villa, even up to today. So then after that, you try to bring in now Villa, you try to cut corners, then you start bringing in people who are not genetically Villa, then you try to put them in management, then you try to control, then you hold a meeting, a Villa meeting in the Fufa office here to streamline Villa, and it's in the office of the Fufa president. I mean, who does that? Where does that Villa? That Villa cannot be strong. So this season, like my prediction was that they might be relegated. Okay, this season they have surprised me. But guess what? What's going to happen next season? Because next season is a new chapter. Are you going to puff yourself again every year instead of being genetically? Now, the same thing with Express. Express, Mkwano Gwabanji has its own people. The kinds of people that Fufa doesn't like. Yeah? I mean, if you talk of Kavuma Kabenge, everybody in Fufa will say, that man is a Fufa. But Kavuma Kabenge is Express. And Kavuma Kabenge epitomizes what Express is all about. So, Express has its own people. Like I said, Villa people were the traders. Express people were... now, these ones were... I think, even the explanation... because Express people, you can't explain them. Even the most elite behave the same way. The word bayaye does not simply mean that these are people who have nothing to do. No, bayaye, it was a tendency of militarism. The militarism of Express, to angular, we have to win at all costs. That was Express. Now, you take away that thing from Express, then you start throwing in people, the Nachuwalas, to come and become the Express people. It doesn't work like that. KCC, on the other hand, were civil servants. And that is how all these clubs have been developed. So you take away that civil service thing and you begin to bring in other people in KCC. KCC also went into a downslide until recently when they tried to pull it back and the institution got it back again. So if these clubs do not take back their stronghold, the league will never be strong. And if the league is not strong, nobody is going to benefit from it. Nobody is going to benefit from this league. because if players are in arrears, if you look at all the 16 teams, you find that 70% of the teams in the league are indebted in arrears. You look at the coaches in the league, you find that most coaches are also in arrears. They've not been paid for 6 months or what. And that should be Fufa trying to investigate this and trying to make these clubs pay. But does Fufa have the moral authority to tell a club to pay a coach when you yourself has not even paid them? You have spent years even to refund their monies or to give them their monies that they have won in prize monies. Can you told them you pay for their junior leagues and you have not paid them. Now, do you have the moral authority and audacity to tell them to pay their coaches or to pay their players? Because I see them releasing players every day that, oh, you have not paid the player, so we have released him. The question would be when that club to ask that, if you have not been paying even your own officials of the university, then how do you expect me to have money even to pay these players? So, if all the things are not looked at, then the issue of the Ugandan referee is going to continue bugging us, and we shall not get a solution to it. So I love to listen to hear from you, those ones who send me your comments, inbox me, and always give me questions to talk about what. But we need to talk about Ugandan football. We need to make sure that the Ugandan football goes back again to the top echelons of football. I enjoy chatting with you. Actually, my friends out there who send me messages on my in my inbox most times, giving me topics to talk about, asking questions, and I hope most times I can come forth and answer these questions that you've got. But you can still, those ones who don't catch me can still catch me on my YouTube channel, which is Asaf Mawaze. You go there, you like the subscribe to it. It's free, and you can look at all the videos that I have done over a period of time. Brian, okay, before I leave, Brian, I think Brian has been the most active today and is asking me, I think we need more capacity building in terms of management of our football clubs. Most of our problems stem from administration. No, actually, these clubs can have their own administrators if they're not tampered with. You see, every society has its own leaders, and every society creates its own leaders. So Fufa, all they can do is let these teams create their own leaders, but like they have been having programs to teach the administrators. Let them continue with that, but don't interrupt them. Let them be the ones to bring you their leaders, but don't suggest to them. And this is what Fufa has been doing. We suggest that the president of Villa should be so and so. This one should not be the president. Misaga should not be the president. Kavuma Kabenge should not be the president. Or this man should not be the president. That man does not support Fufa, so should not be. I mean, my being president of my football club, I don't have to support you, because that's why you go for elections in the first place. Because if we all supported you, then we would not even go for elections. Would say, you are perpetually the president. But the fact that you go for elections, that means I may support somebody else. Does that mean that I have to be? So, Fufa, do not interrupt us or the people who are in leadership. The administration will come by itself. So, it has been nice discussing with you. Please, you can inbox me. Then on the other opportune moment that we get a time to discuss, we shall discuss other things. So, thank you for being with me, listening to me, and have a nice week, and God bless you all.